Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God, the most gracious, most merciful. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, my brothers and sisters, and welcome to this evening's program. You are listening to Radio Mac, broadcasting on 107.1 FM from the heart of Bradford, and I'm your host Asif Sabah in the studio. And today we're going to continue our conversation about the glorious Quran and its benefits to you in your everyday life, and how its wisdom can help you to transform your whole life and become an amazing person with a destiny, and you will receive full, when you strive to help others, the fullness that you feel within yourself, it kind of completes your whole being, and then you are on the pathway of your true deen in your life. So we're going to talk about the Quran, and to get you excited about wanting to read the Quran, use its wisdom in your everyday life to help you grow and develop yourself as a person. Because the beautiful thing about the Quran is it's character building, and it gives you a beautiful foundation on which you can build yourself up. And so before we get into talking about the Quran, we do give thanks and praise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for allowing us to come into your homes to bring you messages of hope, happiness, peace, love and well-being, and that we may remind you of the favours that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed on you. As you know, this program is dedicated to exploring the spiritual and the symbolic language of the Quran. The Quran that I use is the Allama Abdullah Yusuf Ali version that has been translated from Arabic to English. And if what I quote does not match up exactly with the version of the Quran that you have, it may be that you have got a different edition or a different translated edition. Even though we know the Arabic language stays the same, sometimes different people will interpret and translate the Arabic into English or into another language slightly different, according to their own perception and own understanding. So this is why I like to let you know which Quran that I use, so that for those people who do regularly listen to this program, you're able to go out and buy the same Quran for yourselves and follow more closely the information that I present to you in these programs. So it is the Allama Abdullah Yusuf Ali version that I use, that's been translated from Arabic to English. And we're here in this world to live a life, and we are spiritual beings, and we've come to this world to live a life and experience what it's like to be a human being. And not only that, but to become the best possible version of ourselves. And this is why you'll find a lot of information in the Quran is about character building and about what you need to do to live the best life that you can while you're in this physical reality. And so we are going to continue our conversation about the glorious Quran and how it can benefit you in so many ways. And we will get into talking about the symbolic language within the Quran as well, because the Quran has a language within a language. There's a language in relation to the external physical reality. However, for those who are interested and want more from the Quran, there's another language, and that language is encoded in a symbolic language. So you may be reading the Quran and you come across it's talking about all sorts of different topics. However, What about the meaning behind those words of wisdom that are symbolically hidden from a lot of people? So we are going to, at some point, discuss and look at some of these symbolic expressions within the Quran, because the Quran is a masterful book, and it brings with it master teachings of such enormity, such greatness, that they are so amazing. And as you start to unravel the wisdom behind the verses of the Quran, this is when you kind of stop in your tracks and think, wow, 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 wow. And when you realize that the Quran uses nature to explain a more deeper spiritual and profound message, and that message is delivered directly to your soul to heal you, to help you grow, and to give you that encouragement and that belief in the hereafter. And there are many verses that are straightforward and to the point. And so, do listen to these programs, because I'm going to really talk to you about those. For the past few weeks we've just been talking about the Quran and how it can help you in your everyday life, and how amazing it is, and how lucky we all are to have such a book as a book that we can use, a book that we can turn to help us on our journey through this world. And so, as we explore in the next coming weeks, we'll start to explore the symbolic language and the more spiritual aspects of the Quran that you can begin to understand when you close your eyes and you take that inner journey into the depths of your own soul. And you don't need permission from anybody to do this or understand this. It's just a matter of reading the Quran and studying it and thinking a little bit more deeply than many people may think. And so, as we look into the wisdom of the Quran, you will find that the Quran can transform your life. It will transform your life. And don't forget, the wisdom of the Quran are words. Words have power. Words influence. And words can help you on your journey, because your thoughts are the same as what is written in the Quran. So the thoughts that you may have may not be in line with the wisdom of the Quran. And so this is why the Quran is here, so that you can read it, so that you can understand it, and bring your thoughts into line with the wisdom of the Quran for a better way of life. So the Quran has so many more benefits that maybe you haven't thought about before. And so to help us on this journey, today we're going to continue with our exploration and talk about how the Quran can transform your life, its benefits to you, and how it helps and heals your inner self and raises your consciousness and puts you on a totally different level of thinking. This is why the Quran is here, to help you as a guide, to bring you into line with a greater truth than you can think of for yourself. And so as you think about the Quran, as we delve into the wisdom behind the verses of the Quran, hopefully it will paint a picture for you to hold on to. And then as you think about the wisdom of the Quran, you can apply that wisdom and work on yourself. Because your journey, you are here not for the benefit of everybody else. You're here for the benefit of your own soul, for your own journey. And the Quran tells us this. I don't have the verse at hand, but I know the verse, and it tells you that each soul must come up struggling for itself. Now, what does that actually tell you? It tells you that nobody else can make the journey for you. It is your journey. And you may have thousands of friends, hundreds of friends, or a few friends, but none of those friends really will be able to help you if you do not choose to listen to your own wisdom. And that's that wisdom that comes to you as inspiration to guide you on your pathway. If you choose not to listen to that wisdom, there is nobody on this earth that can help you. And this is where you have to do this journey for yourself. And if we all work on our own selves to help ourselves, then this is where we all ascend together as one. And so this is the meaning, part of the meaning behind that verse. The Quran tells you that each soul must come up struggling for itself. And we do this through reading the Quran and applying that wisdom to our daily lives. And we apply it the best we can. Okay, we might not always get it right, but at least we're working on it, because we have so many different influences impacting our everyday lives, leading us here, leading us there, and they do influence us in one way or another. You know, we're not perfect, but at least we're here, and while we are here, we can work on ourselves and work on our imperfections. And this is what it's all about. If we were perfect, we would not be here. You know, we would not need a life in this world, but we are here to perfect ourselves, to work on ourselves, to come up struggling for our own selves, to raise our consciousnesses. Now I'll give you another verse. I've spoken about this verse and mentioned it many times before, how each of us are born into the base matter that we know. Now, what is this base matter I keep talking about? And if I can find the verses, I've got them amongst all my bits of papers here. If I can find them, I'll bring them out and point you exactly in the right direction to the surah and the verse. But what is this base matter that the Quran talks about? This base matter is our negative emotions. That part of us that is selfish, only thinks about ourselves, and in some ways doesn't really care about anybody else, because we're only here for ourselves and our own selfish needs. This is the base matter. The negative, the gossiping, the what's the other word I want to use? I know it, but I just can't think of it at the moment. You know, sometimes when you get that idea and it just escapes you. But you know those thoughts that lead you astray, let's say. So, this is part of our base matter, and we have to learn to withdraw ourselves from that and work in a different way. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, my brothers and sisters, and welcome back. You are listening to Radio Mac, broadcasting on 107.1 FM from the heart of Bradford, and I'm your host Asif Saber in the studio. And today we're just continuing our conversation about the glorious Quran and its benefits to you in your life. And maybe we'll look at why it was sent here as a gift to each of us, and a gift that allows us to evolve and develop ourselves as human beings and as spiritual beings as well. So there are so many reasons behind why the Quran has been sent into our world. And the ideas or the favors are endless, absolutely endless, because there is so much timeless wisdom within the verses of the Quran. And it is a book that can transform your life and help you on your journey to becoming this better version of yourself. Because just before the break we were talking about how we are born into the base matter that we know, and when the Quran talks about this, it's referring to our negative emotions, and those negative emotions can end up causing us so many problems, so much grief in our lives, because within those negative emotions are all sorts of different harmful thoughts that can lead us astray and hurt our souls as we travel on our journey through this world. And those negative emotions or harmful thoughts, they are like beasts that roam our own inner world, our own inner self. And when our consciousness moves into that part of ourselves that is filled with this base matter or these negative emotions, we experience them as these harmful thoughts that lead us astray on our pathway to becoming this better version of ourselves. And it's when we dwell amongst these negative emotions or these harmful thoughts, this is when we fall away from the pathway that can lead us on our true spiritual journey and raise us up. Now also, don't forget, there's other verses, and one little area I just want to talk about. I will see if I can find these verses just to give you some more clarity, and you can go and check them for yourselves. But while we're talking about negative emotions and harmful thoughts, and we will do a separate program about it, I'll just give you a little bit of an understanding. When the Quran talks about 3 veils of darkness that we are enshrouded, we are enshrouded with, well, there are 3 veils of darkness, and these aren't external darknesses. These are our own negative emotions, and it's all relating to that. Now, if you think our thoughts can be a veil of darkness, our negative emotions can be a veil of darkness that surrounds us, and also our willpower. Now, believe it or not, our thoughts, when we're feeling negative, when we're in and amongst our negative emotions, that creates certain thoughts within us, and we can lose all hope in life. So this is why I say willpower is one of the veils of darkness, because we become engulfed, we become enshrouded within it. And it leads us to a place where we don't always want to go within ourselves. And we have to understand that the journey through this world is not about the material world. That's just an external thing. What about the mental faculty, our brains, our consciousnesses, in other words? Because our brain is just something that we use to help us. It's a part of the physical body. When our brain dies, or our heart stops, or whatever it is you want to say or think of, the body finishes. What moves on to the hereafter is our consciousness. And so, when you think about it, our willpower, our negative emotions, and our thought processes are the three veils of darkness that cover our light, our ruh. So pay attention. The Quran, it talks about how the three veils of darkness lead us astray. And I will see if I can find these verses for you and read them out if I remember everything I talk about during the break. But this is, again, the Quran explains that we are born into this base matter that we know. We become enshrouded by the three veils of darkness as thought activity, negative emotions, and willpower, the lack of willpower. And then each soul must come up struggling for itself. And we can use the wisdom of the Quran to help us on our journey. And so this is why it's so important to read the Quran, pay attention to its wisdom to help you on your journey. And as we travel our journey, as we read the verses of the Quran, they enlighten us. They bring transformative information into our hearts, into our beings, into ourselves. Because we are spiritual, conscious beings. The things of this world, they are just inventions that we've created out of the stuff that we find in this world. We shouldn't base so much importance on the amounts of things that we have in our everyday lives, because we cannot take anything with us except ourselves. And you know the verses in the Quran where it says, you will appear before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bare and alone. You know you can't take all these things with you. So why put so much importance on things that we've created ourselves, where the real importance should be on your mind? That is where you really get to know yourself. The thoughts that manifest, the thoughts that manifest within your soul, within your inner self, that you see within your mind or you think about, they are coming from who you really are as a spiritual person, as a being. And that which you experience within yourself comes from within yourself. It's a part of who you are. And the Quran is here to teach you how you can live the best life. It is a book of total transformation and change. within you. This isn't about what's going on in somebody else's life. This is about you as the individual. The Quran can transform your life if you pay attention and read it. It will heal your inner self, that part of you. Forget about what's going on in the external world. That is all in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's hands. You can help by giving in charity, you can do good deeds, yes, that benefits you. It keeps you alive, keeps you focused, keeps you conscious of your duty that you owe to others. But the real battle, the real challenge comes from within yourself. It is within yourself that the real understanding and journey begins. And as you come up struggling for yourself, as you engage with the wisdom you find in the Quran and apply it to your lives and hold on to its wisdom, especially during the difficult times when you sink down into the base matter of your own inner self, this is when the wisdom of the Quran can help you on your journey. And life is full of challenges and it is full of difficulties, and the Quran provides you with guidance on how to overcome them. By reading and reflecting on the stories of the prophets and the challenges that they faced, you too can gain inspiration and motivation to face your own challenges in your life. And this is where it benefits you. And as you practice patience and perseverance, you will learn. You will get to know yourself. And as you come up struggling for yourself, out of the base matter into which you are born, you will achieve. This should be your purpose, to fight against the darkness that enshrouds you. I mean, it could be that you've been conditioned to think in a negative way as well. But then that's a part of your journey. There will be a reason as to why everything happens. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't make mistakes. And when you understand and get the full picture from the verses of the Quran, and you start to put all these different bits of information together, you start to see a whole new picture. Or it brings into your conscious awareness a whole new vision. And it allows you to go through certain experiences with ease and grace and gentleness, knowing that on the other side of the experience you will have learned something valuable for the benefit of your soul, even if it's just to challenge your own old belief system, because you will come across new ideas that maybe you didn't know before, and they may even challenge everything that you've been told is the truth. But then, is it that you need to hold on to those new truths to help you to raise your consciousness as you come up struggling for yourself? Because at the end of it, you will be a better person. And this is what it's all about. The Quran is an amazing book. It's a book that is for everybody. It goes beyond the institutionalized ideas that we have. And it helps all people. But it's a book that you do need to study. It's a book you do need to read and make your own notes and piece together one verse with another verse. It's not a history book. You may think it's a history book when you look to the material world for answers, and then you start to look at history and relate history to the verses of the Quran. I mean, some verses will be, a little bit about history, but the majority of the Quran is about character building. It's about helping you to heal your soul. And even some of the stories, you would be astounded. I mean, I got a book out called Self-Help Guide to Meditation and the Quran. Now, this is the first book, and it's about a journey into the depths of your own inner self. And that journey takes you on a very basic understanding when you close your eyes and look within your own self and search your own soul for answers. Well, this next book, it's going to take you on an even deeper journey along the same lines, but I'm going to reveal some new things to you regarding your journey in this world. Things that you may never have thought about or understood before. So what I would say to you is, go and buy my first book, Self-Help Guide to Meditation and the Quran. Because very soon, I'm just in the final stages of editing this second book. Very soon it's going to be out. I mean, I do have a date in my mind, but I said that last year thinking I'd finish it. But then I found some other things that I wanted to put into it. I wanted to switch things around. But this second book is going to reveal some amazing things in the verses of the Quran. And I don't always talk about them on air. So if you haven't, there's even some stuff in my first book I haven't even got round to talking about yet. But it will lay an amazing foundation. I give you all the verses I talk about so that you can check them for yourself. You get the version of the Quran that I use, which is the Allama Abdullah Yusuf Ali translation from Arabic to English, or sometimes it may just say Yusuf Ali as the translator of the glorious Quran. That's the version I use, and we look at the verses in relation to what's going on in your mind. It's not about the external journey, it's about the inner journey and the thought manifestations that arise within your mind. It's a book of healing to help you on your journey. And by reading this book, you will learn to heal your own soul just through the wisdom that it brings into your life, to help you on your own journey. I mean, I'm not going to get that much benefit out of it because I've written it. I know what's in it. I've worked on myself. That's my benefit. This is for you, to benefit your own journey, to help you on your own journey, to help you see things maybe you've never thought about before. So through its guidance, through the things that I've written, then go do your own research, read the Quran for yourself and really benefit. See where I'm coming from. And as you start to piece together the information, it will help you to consciously ascend. It'll bring into your mind so many new thoughts and ideas that maybe a lot of people you're speaking to haven't explained to you. And it's not a book I wrote overnight. It's taken a lot of hard work, a lot of studying of the Quran, and years to put it together for your benefit. And I know it will help you. And this second book is a follow-on book. So if you get a chance, it's available on Amazon. All you need to do is type into Amazon Self-Help Guide to Meditation and the Quran, and order your copy. And once you've read it, I would suggest, not reading the second one until you've read the first one. The second one is going to astound you, because there's things in the second book that I know you haven't thought about, or you may have thought about, but the information regarding it is not 100%. This is going to change everything, and it's going to give you an understanding that maybe nobody's talking about before, or nobody's spoken about before. And so if you get a chance, do read the first book, because it will lay the foundation for the second book. And the second book is going to transform and change everything. It's groundbreaking in the things that I'm talking about. And it has been my pleasure to write it. But do think about this, and if you are one of those people who are looking for something more than what you've been given, these books are definitely for you, to help you on your journey, not my journey. My journey back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is between me and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just like your journey is between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And nobody can make your journey for you. It is a journey that you have to make yourself. You have to make the effort to want to know. The inspiration that comes into your mind will tell you this. The Quran will tell you this, that each soul must come up struggling for itself. If you choose not to listen, nobody can do anything about that. That is your choice. If you choose to pay attention because you feel something within yourself, you know that something is right. It doesn't take a lot of common sense. The Quran is common sense. It's an amazing book for everyone. And when you start to really see the inner wisdom behind the verses of the Quran and start putting all that information together within your mind, this is when it starts to heal your soul and raise you up consciously. Because I've said this so many times before, we are not all dwelling within the same state of consciousness. There's not just a heaven, hell, or this world somewhere in between. There are 70,000 veils of light between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And don't forget, there's a universal law of opposites. So there are also 70,000 veils of darkness. And we exist somewhere in between. And as you experience your negative, harmful emotions, you'll know where you are dwelling. You'll know you're not dwelling in the light, but you have an opportunity to raise your consciousness, because the Quran tells you each soul must come up struggling for itself, to raise itself. And as long as you're striving to do the best you can do, then you're on the right path. It's when you give into this darkness and let it enshroud you and let it rule your life, and then every expression is an expression of complaints or negative emotions about everything that's taking place or happening in life. And so learn to raise yourself up, learn to come up struggling for yourself. Learn to be the best version of yourself. It's within your capabilities, because you wouldn't be here in this world. You wouldn't be here in this world if you couldn't do something good for your soul to help you on your journey. There'd be no point to you being in this world in that way. You are here for a reason, a unique reason, and there is no other soul like you in this entire universe. You are one in there's no number. You can't even say 1 in a trillion. You know, trillion upon trillion upon trillion you are one of. There's nobody that is unique like you. And think about all the people in this world, all the souls in the hereafter, billions upon billions upon billions. You are so unique. You don't even know it. Especially if your mind only points in the direction of the world and you're only focused on the things of the world. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, my brothers and sisters, and welcome back. I was kind of caught out a moment ago by the adverts. I wasn't paying attention to some of the screens here, and the commercial break all of a sudden kicked in, and I didn't realise myself. So, as well, because things are going out live, you know, I sometimes get so involved in what I'm talking about. And you know, when you get that inspiration, it's flowing and the words are flowing and you just end up carrying on. You know, it's, you know, just one of those things. But yeah, the commercial break caught me out there. And so, yeah, do listen to Radio Mac. And, you know, if you want to be a presenter, don't forget, you can always come down to Radio Mac and, you know, talk about your own experiences. Share your wisdom with other people and, you know, help other people on your journey. You know, I think as Muslims, we've given up on supporting and helping each other. And, you know, again, that comes down to our characters. What is happening to our character? Why are we not supporting each other in the way that's beneficial? You know, we all bring everybody down, you know, but that all stems from some kind of jealousy within. But we've got to get rid of those feelings or emotions. And this is what happens with negative emotions. It brings us down to a level that we lose our true inner essence. We lose that divine connection that we have with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because we've allowed ourselves to be swayed by these negative emotions, because all they do is produce harmful thoughts. And as we listen to those harmful thoughts, as they lead us astray, as they hurt us and cause us to have a reality that is far from the truth, we become lost to our own negative emotions. Where if we just held on to the truth that we know is the truth, and if we just followed those little nudges and those little bits of inspiration that give us the best guidance, if we paid attention to that little voice from our guardian angels, we would be all on a much different pathway. We would be on a pathway that leads us directly back. But as you know, we cannot take anything with us. So why are we spending so much in the accumulation of things that aren't going to really benefit us in the long run? Because the Quran came down as a way of guidance. And that is thought activity. That is what's going on within ourselves. It's not about the external world. It's what is going on within. That is what counts. And if you don't pay attention to what is going on within your own self, then you are going to become lost to the emotional self that's filled with negativity. But don't forget, you've also got another part of yourself that's also emotional, but it's emotional intelligence. Like all things have an opposite, absolutely everything. Heaven, hell, light, darkness, everything. Physical things, spiritual things, material things. And again, everything material has a spiritual opposite. Absolutely everything. Because one couldn't exist without the other. Even if you're sat in a chair listening to this program, the very chair is made up of energy, sound and light. It's an energy vibration that you're sitting on. It's billions of particles, just like your physical body. It's billions of particles all clumped together. It creates the illusion of separation, but there is no separation. All is one. The chair, it has a spiritual opposite. The table, the clock, the radio that you're listening to listen to this program. Everything you see in this physical reality has a spiritual opposite, or it would not exist. But you think about that. It's all particles clumped together in one place. You set it on fire, everything reduces down to one element, and that is ash, and disperses. A building, think about it, the biggest thing you can think about it, if it was to set on fire, what would it reduce down to? Powder, ash, we call it. And that's it. Everything has a spiritual opposite. This is why sometimes, for those who see, they may see strange things in different places. And they're not even in alignment with this physical reality, because it's a spiritual reality. But maybe we'll talk about that sometime. But for now, we're talking about the Quran. I don't want to divert. It's so easy, there's so much I want to talk to you about. But it's so easy to become re-diverted away from the original topic. But there's so many things we will cover. So do keep listening to Radio Marcus. You know, my programs from Wednesday 7 till 9 and Sunday 7 till 9. You know, we're going to cover all sorts of different things. And I want to take you on an incredible journey into the depths of your own soul, to help you on your journey. And, you know, life is a challenge. And it's only by reflecting on your own self that you can learn to overcome these challenges. And the journey is a challenge, but you know, look around you. Who makes your journey difficult? Only other people. And don't forget, all they're doing is manifesting thoughts. And then they're expressing those thoughts. And if they're causing you concern, causing you grief, causing you unhappiness, that's because they're dwelling within their base matter instead of rising out of it. You know, we are spiritual beings. We have the ability to express love. And this love is an unconditional love. And it's only when we start to think of what unconditional love is that we will start to manifest it in our lives. Unconditional love is to love all. And sometimes I look out at the world and I say, what is going on? There's a lack of love between us, between each of us. We have an idea of what we think love is all about, but it's usually based on our base desires. But we have to ascend. We have to rise above them. We have to grow mentally beyond the base matter into which we are born, to heal ourselves, to heal our souls as we go on our journey through this world. And you are able to gain inspiration and motivation, especially when you are faced with challenges. Sometimes it's just best to stay quiet and let whoever have their say. And, a person will not argue with themselves. Well, they may do, but, if you engage in an argument with somebody, they will argue back. But if you stay quiet, then who have they got to argue back against? All they can do, that's what I mean, when they'll just end up arguing with themselves. Because they'll feel that they haven't had their say, but then, they'll come to a conclusion. They'll come to their own conclusion, no matter what it is. They'll wonder within their own selves. And then that's when they'll start to find the answers to those questions. So this is why it's so important to pay attention and think about your own journey through this world. And, the Quran says in Surah 2, verse 45, and seek help through patience and prayer. And indeed, it is difficult, except for the humbly submissive to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So those people who pay attention, those people who pray, those people who practice patience and gratitude, and maybe look at all the 99 names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and see which names you are expressing on a regular basis. Use that wisdom. Expand and grow. Develop yourself. Find a healing within yourself as you come up struggling for yourself to heal your own soul. This isn't about healing everybody else's soul and forgetting your own soul. Learn to heal your own soul, because you have guardian angels. And those guardian angels are waiting. They're inspiring you. They are sending you messages. They're not sending your next door neighbour messages. They are sending you messages of advice and guidance. So pay attention to that which comes into your own lives. They're here for you. Oh, I think just before the commercial break, I was talking about how unique each of us are. How unique you are. And that you are one in a billion, trillion, whatever number you can, the biggest number you can think of. And still, you, and don't forget, think about all the animals that are on this planet. When you walk outside and there's a big swarm of flies buzzing around somewhere, don't forget the little flies and all the bees and all the other insects that exist in this world. There are trillions upon trillions upon trillions upon trillions. I mean, there's no number big enough really when you think about it. But each of those is a little soul. A little soul. Everything in this world has a spiritual opposite. And all these little tiny little animals. And just for an example, you know, I'm sure you've been watching these nature programs. You know, you get these documentaries on nature. But we haven't even covered the fish in the sea. Now, even smaller is all those little planktons. All those tiny little planktons that things like whales and all the other animals feed off. There is no number that is big enough in this world, I guess, that we could even suggest to put a number on the beings, the little tiniest of beings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created. No number, I don't think. I mean, I don't know numbers, but, you know, I just couldn't even think about putting a number on something. But you think about all the animals in the sea, all the tiny little planktons, there's billions upon billions, all the animals on land, yet you are unique. There is no other person like you. And don't forget all the human race, every soul. And we know there's what, 6 to 7 billion people in this world? And you are one. You are the only one out of the entire existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what about all the creations that we know nothing about? And don't forget, every single person in this world has 2 guardian angels. So, as well as all that, there's what, 6 to 7 billion people in this world? So that must mean there's 21 billion angels. Well, there's 20, each soul has 2 guardian angels. So that means spirit beings, there's 21 billion just to start. And then there's all the other angels and all the other beings that exist all the way back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you are one of those. And there is nobody like you. Only one of you. Only one of you. That's how unique you are. And you are all under the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Think about that. Pay attention to what is going on within yourself. Become the best version. You know, Allah has given you intelligence. The ability to understand. I mean, there's a lot of animals, they don't understand a tiny bit of what you are capable of understanding. They live according to whatever Allah has designed for them. Some animals are more intelligent than others. And you'll know that with all the different animals that you know, or, you know, if you've got 1 dog or 2 dogs, you know, they're both different personalities. Cats even, you know, whatever it is you have as your pet. Every animal has its own intelligence and level of intelligence, but you are much more intelligent. Yet do you really use that intelligence to help you on your journey? And do you really truly understand that there is nobody in this entire existence, in this entire world, that is like you? You are one in a... I'm not even going to put a number on it. You are just one. You are so unique. There are no words. But you don't pay enough attention to how unique you are. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created you. He has given you life. He has sent you the Quran to help you on your journey. But what do you do with the Quran? Do you pay enough attention? Do you study it? Do you read it? It's there to help you. And seek help. You know, one of the things I've been writing about in my new book is this. Those people who lose their inner connection, it's like they've cut off their conscious awareness through whatever thoughts that they have decided to create and manifest within themselves about any kind of belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A person cuts their own connection off by choosing not to believe. And that is such a dangerous thing to do, because it's through your conscious connection to the hereafter that you will witness the truth. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, my brothers and sisters, and welcome back. You're listening to Radio Mac, broadcasting on 107.1 FM. And again, I don't know what's going on, because time is flying by. I just get so into what I'm talking about. I'm not paying attention to the screens in front of me for the commercial breaks coming up. So, it caught me out again, but I don't know, sometimes I just become so inspired and so, enjoy talking about the things I'm talking about here. And I forget about the screens in front of me to watch for when things are going to come up and happen. And the commercial break, it just flies by. It's like I feel as though I've only been talking for about 10 minutes. Yet it's been half an hour, pretty much. So, I can only apologise if it was a quick, all of a sudden ending. But, it catches me out sometimes. But anyway, usually Maghrib prayer will be coming up very soon. So I'll be paying attention to that. Then we'll disappear for a while. And we will come back and, continue. Because I'll be finishing this programme at 9 o'clock. So, we'll see how it goes anyway. We'll kind of round it up after Maghrib prayer comes on. And so, so some of the difficulties are in life are because of where we are consciously dwelling. And don't forget, between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and ourselves, there are 70,000 veils of light. So we're not all consciously dwelling within the same degrees of conscious activity. This is the easiest way I can explain it to you. And so we express ourselves according to our consciousness and where it is dwelling or where it is placed within these 70,000 veils of light between ourselves and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is why we all experience different things in life. We all understand, the truth. What some people accept as the truth, others will reject. And same all around about everything. Even though there is just one truth, we're not perfect. And so our truth will change. And I'm talking about our truth. Not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's truth, but what is true to us today may not be true to us tomorrow or next week or next year. But it's all a part of our own individual learning process. And when I think about it, I just remembered now, I was going to get some verses from the Quran to just add to the information I was talking about earlier about each soul coming up struggling for itself, the verses on about the three veils of darkness that we covered. But I just got so into what I was talking about the idea of getting these verses, it just escaped my mind. But for those people who listen to my programs on a regular basis, I've explained where these verses are previously, so you will have heard me talking about them on a previous occasion. If not, if this is your first time listening to this program, then you know, the verses are there, but I just haven't had the time. I've been so focused on what I'm talking about, I haven't had the time, or I've forgotten to kind of go and find them for you during the commercial break. But I hope you can forgive me for that, and do keep listening, because we will get round to looking at them and in detail. I've just kind of skipped over just to give you a bit of background information regarding what we're kind of talking about today. And basically I'm just sticking to just talking to you about the Quran, but bringing a few different things into it as we're going along. And it is important, as the verse from the Quran, Surah 2 verse 45 says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, my brothers and sisters, and welcome back. You are listening to Radio Mac, broadcasting on 107.1 FM from the heart of Bradford, and I'm your host, Asif Sabah, in the studio. And today we've again been talking about the benefits and the wisdom of reading the Quran, and how it can help you on your journey to heal your own soul, to raise you up out of the dark matter into which we are born in this world. Because this or not the dark matter, the base matter, and our base matter is basically our negative emotions that can spring up and rise up and enshroud us and stop us seeing the universal truth, the wisdom that comes from our remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and how this wisdom and the guidance that we get from the verses of the Quran can help us on our journey. And it's when we fall down, or when we descend down into our own negative emotions, this is when life seems to look bleak, that we start to think all these negative thoughts, not only about ourselves but about other people, where really, as our soul then ascends, and don't forget, everything has an opposite. Now, as well as there being 3 veils of darkness, this is something I thought about, then I forgot to mention it. So the 3 veils of light that exist. Now, what are they? So we looked at the 3 veils of darkness just a little bit on how the thoughts that we have can be the darkened thoughts, our negative emotions, and also our lack of willpower. Well, one of the things that we must also take into consideration is our 3 veils of light. Now, what are the 3 veils of light? Well, the 3 veils of light are our feelings. Now, our feelings of love. Now you think, what does love mean to you? When you express loving feelings, the beautiful thoughts that you have in connection to those loving feelings will raise you up. It's because you are dwelling within a higher state of consciousness. Also, your willpower returns. You feel enthusiastic about life. You meet challenges head on because you are filled with loving, positive energy and positive thoughts. So the 3 veils of light are connected to your feelings. Your 3 veils of darkness are connected to your negative emotions. Now, we also have positive emotions. We can't just think everything is emotional and it's negative. We've got intelligent emotions as well. And those emotions are kind of in between our negative emotions and our feelings of light. So you could say that we have our negative emotions, then we have our more intelligent emotions, and then on top of that we have our feelings. And through the feelings and expressions of love will come positive thoughts, positive willpower, because you feel so energized by these loving thoughts. And don't forget, your thoughts create your perception of the world. So your whole thought processes, your whole understanding, your whole perception about life in the world will be seen in a more positive way, because you have taken, you know, when the verse in the Quran talks about how each soul must come up struggling for itself, well, as you consciously ascend, because we are not all dwelling within the same state of consciousness all the times, there's not just heaven, hell and this earth somewhere in between. No, between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala there are 70,000 veils of light, or degrees of consciousness. There is also the opposite. Below you there are 70,000 veils of darkness. Now, when the Quran talks about the rivers beneath your feet, have you ever thought about what does that mean? You'll be dwelling with, in lands where rivers beneath your feet. This is connected to your understanding of these veils of darkness and light. So when you are dwelling in a higher state of consciousness, it's because you have transcended different degrees of awareness. So as you consciously ascend, you travel through some, not all, maybe, I don't know, I can't put a number on it. Maybe you move out of your negative emotions to your positive self. You have transcended so many degrees of consciousness to have ascended higher in conscious awareness. So all that exists below that state of consciousness is like a river of consciousness, a river that flows beneath your consciousness, because you are dwelling in a higher state of consciousness, and everything that exists below that state of consciousness is like a river that you have transcended. It's a degree of conscious activity. Just like when you fall down into your lower base matter and you feel negative and the negative emotions take over and the world is a dark place, this is because you've dropped down and you've descended. So your consciousness is about where you are consciously residing, and your task is to come up struggling for yourself, to hold your consciousness in the light, to use your feelings of love and hold on to those feelings of love, because that's showing that you have ascended. You have come up struggling for yourself, and you now dwell within a higher state of consciousness. And this is what is meant by the verses that you read when it talks about rivers beneath your feet, because consciously you have ascended and you now live, or you are now dwelling within a higher state of consciousness, and everything that you have ascended above is below you. So that is like a river of consciousness below where you are currently residing, let's say. So that is the meaning. See how all these amazing little meanings within the Quran, when you start to connect the understanding to yourself and your conscious awareness, that is when the Quran starts to make much more sense. That is when you start to see new things within the verses of the Quran. So don't forget, if you get time, go on to Amazon, download my book or buy my book, Self-Help Guide to Meditation and the Quran. Because it's going to help you understand some of the things that I've been talking about in this program and in my previous programs. It will help you. It will give you ideas for you to think about, and then read the Quran for yourself. And I give you verses and explanations about all sorts of different things to help you on your own journey. Don't just take these programs and think, listen to these, but go out and do something good for yourself. If you buy this book, it will set the stage for this new book that I've got coming out, which hopefully it's not going to be too long. I'm just finalizing the edits, just making sure that it's the best I can get it before I release it. But it is so close to completion. It's just finding the exact wording here and there. So, inshallah, it will be with us soon, and it will take you on an even deeper, in-depth look at the wisdom of the verses of the Quran, and bring out some new knowledge and understandings that you may not have ever considered within the verses of the Quran. So, do get a chance, type into Amazon, Self-Help Guide to Meditation and the Quran, and it should come up. And there's an audio book. You can get it on Kindle, and you can also buy it in paperback. And, you can have a copy there for yourself to read or listen to help you. And so, we are coming to the end of this program. We'll go into the evening program, and Jazakallah from myself. My name's Asif Sabah. I'm in the studio of Radio Mac. May Allah bless you, keep you all safe, and we'll return on Wednesday for another program to look at the glorious Quran and the benefits you get from reading it, and why it's important that you read it to help you on your journey in this world. Jazakallah.